Have you ever felt completely drained after an argument, a breakup, or even just a tough conversation? Like your brain and body are hungover, but you didn't drink a drop? That's not in your head. It's real. It's called an emotional hangover. And if you've ever wondered why it happens or how to recover from one, you're in the right place. It's that profound sense of depletion, where even thinking feels like a monumental task, and your usual resilience seems to have packed its bags and left without affording address. This isn't about being too sensitive or overreacting. It's a genuine physiological and psychological response to intense emotional experiences. My channel is Knowledge for Life. And for years, I, like many of you, navigated these bewildering aftershocks without a name for them, feeling isolated in the experience. But understanding is the first step toward healing, and that's what we're going to do together today. We're going to pull back the curtain on these emotional hangovers, explore the science and the soul behind them, and most importantly, talk about how we can move through them with a little more grace and a lot more self-compassion. It's about recognizing that our emotional well-being deserves the same care and attention as our physical health, especially when it's been through the ringer. In this video, we're breaking down the emotional hangover, what it is, why it hits so hard, and how to bounce back like a pro. So stick around, because this might explain a lot more than you think. We'll delve into practical strategies grounded in research and lived experience that can help you not just survive these episodes, but learn from them, emerging with a deeper understanding of your own emotional landscape. This isn't about quick fixes, but about building a sustainable toolkit for emotional resilience. Let's get started. Alright, let's dive right in. The very first, and I mean foundational step in dealing with an emotional hangover is to name it. To literally pause, take a breath, and say to yourself, okay, this feeling, this exhaustion, this fogginess, this ache, this is an emotional hangover. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But here's the thing I've learned through years of research and countless conversations. Naming an experience, especially a difficult one, is an act of profound power. It's like shining a flashlight into a dark room. Suddenly the scary, undefined shadows take shape, and they become manageable, understandable. When we name something like an emotional hangover, we begin to separate ourselves from the experience. It's no longer, I am a wreck, but rather, I am experiencing an emotional hangover. See the shift? That small linguistic change creates critical distance. It moves the experience from being an intrinsic part of our identity to a temporary state we are moving through. This distinction is crucial because it prevents us from internalizing the exhaustion and emotional turmoil as a personal failing. It's not you. It's something happening to you. Something your body and mind are processing. This act of naming is also an act of courage. It requires us to be vulnerable enough to admit that we're not okay, that an interaction or event has deeply affected us. In a world that often pressures us to be perpetually strong and unfazed, acknowledging our emotional depletion can feel like a rebellion. But it's a necessary one. It's in that acknowledgement that we reclaim our agency. Instead of being swept away by a tide of unnamed feelings, we plant our feet and say, I see you, I know what you are. Think about it. When you're physically unwell and you finally get a diagnosis, there's often a sense of relief, even if the diagnosis isn't great news. Why? Because now you know what you're dealing with. You can research it, understand it, and find pathways to healing. Once we've named it, okay, this is an emotional hangover, the next crucial step is to allow ourselves to rest and reset. And I want to be really clear here. When I say rest, I'm talking about something much deeper and more intentional than just collapsing into bed for a few hours of sleep, though sleep is certainly a component. I'm talking about a deliberate, conscious disengagement that allows your entire nervous system, which has likely been firing on all cylinders, to downshift and come back to a place of equilibrium. It's about creating a sanctuary for your mind and body. Think about what happens during an intense emotional experience, an argument, receiving bad news, a period of high stress. Your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response gets activated. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your system. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your mind races. This is your body's amazing ancient survival mechanism at work. But once the perceived threat has passed, or the intense interaction is over, your system doesn't just magically snap back to baseline, it needs help. It needs permission to stand down. That's where true rest comes in. So, what does this real rest look like? It might mean turning off your phone or at least silencing notifications to create a buffer from the outside world's demands. It could be dimming the lights, reducing sensory input that can feel overwhelming when you're already depleted. For some, it's quiet contemplation, meditation, or simply sitting and doing nothing, which, by the way, is an incredibly underrated skill in our hyper-productive culture. It's about consciously choosing to step away from the noise, both external and internal, and allowing your system to simply be. Often there's a tremendous amount of guilt or an internal pressure that whispers, "You should be doing something," or "You can't afford to slow down." We need to challenge that narrative. Resting after an emotional upheaval isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a profound act of self-care and a critical component of emotional resilience. After we've named the emotional hangover and given ourselves permission to truly rest and begin resetting our nervous system, the next step involves gentle movement. Now, when I say movement, I want to be very specific. This isn't the time to hit the gym for a high-intensity workout or push yourself to run a personal best. In fact, intense exercise when you're already depleted can sometimes be counterproductive, almost like adding another stressor to an already overloaded system. What we're aiming for here is gentle, mindful movement that helps to soothe the body and signal safety. Think of this gentle movement as a way of communicating with your body, a way of saying, "The threat has passed. You are safe now, we can relax." After an intense emotional experience, our bodies often hold on to that tension. Our shoulders might be hunched, our jaw clenched, our breathing shallow. Gentle movement helps to slowly release that stored physical stress. It's about coaxing your body back into a state of ease, rather than forcing it. This could be a slow, mindful walk, perhaps in nature if that's accessible to you, noticing the feeling of your feet on the ground, the air on your skin. Stretching is another wonderful form of gentle movement in this context. Not the kind of stretching that's about achieving peak flexibility, but slow, deliberate stretches that allow you to tune into your body, notice where you're holding tension, and gently invite it to release. Think about cat-cow stretches, gentle neck rolls, or simply reaching your arms overhead and taking a deep breath. The focus here is on the sensation of movement and release, on reconnecting with your physical self in a kind and compassionate way. Our bodies have a profound memory, and they often register and hold on to emotional distress long after our conscious minds have tried to move on. Gentle movement can be a way to help the body process and discharge some of that lingering energetic charge from the emotional event. It helps to shift us out of the freeze response that can sometimes follow intense stress, where we feel stuck or immobilized. It's about reintroducing a sense of flow and agency, not just in our minds, but in our physical beings as well. It's important to underscore that this type of movement is not about achieving fitness goals or burning calories. This next step is, for many of us, one of the hardest, yet it's absolutely vital if we want to truly recover from an emotional hangover and not just stuff it down to resurface later. And that is, to feel it, don't fight it. There's such a strong, almost instinctual human tendency to want to avoid painful or uncomfortable emotions. We want to numb them, distract ourselves from them, rationalize them away, or just power through as if they aren't there. But here's the truth I've come to understand deeply. Suppressing your feelings, especially the potent ones that lead to an emotional hangover, only makes the hangover last longer and often makes it more intense down the line. Emotions, even the really tough ones like grief, anger, disappointment, or shame, are energy. They have a current, a flow, and like any form of energy, they need to move. When we try to build a dam against them, that energy doesn't just disappear, it gets stuck. It festers. It can manifest as chronic anxiety, physical tension, irritability, or that lingering sense of being off that characterizes an emotional hangover. The only way to truly move through an emotion is to allow ourselves to actually it. So what does it mean to feel it in a healthy way? It means creating a space where you can safely acknowledge and express what's going on inside you. For some, this might be journaling, writing down exactly what you're feeling without judgment or censorship. The act of putting words to emotions can be incredibly clarifying and cathartic. For others, it might be crying. Tears are a natural physiological release, a way our bodies process intense emotion. There's no shame in crying, it's a sign that you're allowing yourself to be human. Talking to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist is another powerful way to feel and process emotions. Sharing your experience with someone who can listen with empathy and without judgment can help you feel less alone and can offer new perspectives. As we're navigating the often turbulent waters of an emotional hangover, allowing ourselves to feel those big emotions, It's also incredibly important to have tools that can help us stay anchored in the present moment. This is where grounding comes in. Grounding techniques are simple yet powerful practices that help pull us out of the swirling vortex of past hurts or future anxieties and bring us back to the here and now. When we're in the midst of an emotional hangover, our minds can easily get caught in replaying the triggering event, catastrophizing, or just feeling generally untethered and disoriented. Grounding is essentially about reconnecting with the physical world and our own bodies in a very tangible way. It's about engaging our senses to remind our brain that we are safe and present in this current moment, not trapped in the emotional storm of what happened or what might happen. These techniques can be especially helpful when the act of feeling it, as we just discussed, starts to feel a bit too overwhelming. Grounding provides a gentle tether, a safe harbor. The beauty of grounding techniques is their simplicity and accessibility. You don't need any special equipment or a particular setting. One common method is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This simple exercise forces your brain to shift its focus from internal rumination to external sensory input, effectively interrupting the cycle of distressing thoughts. Other simple physical actions can be incredibly grounding. Washing dishes, for example, feeling the warmth of the water, the texture of the soap, the smoothness of the plates. Petting your dog or cat, focusing on the softness of their fur and the rhythm of their breathing. Holding a piece of ice in your hand and noticing the cold sensation. Even just pressing your feet firmly into the floor and noticing the support beneath you can help. These aren't distractions in the sense of avoidance. They are intentional acts of recentering. Our brains, especially when stressed or processing intense emotions, need these concrete physical reminders that we are okay, right here, right now. Emotional pain can make the past feel overwhelmingly present or the future feel terrifyingly uncertain. Finally, and this is a message I want to land with so much care and emphasis, we need to talk about not rushing the process. Some emotional hangovers might lift after a few hours of rest and self-care. Others, particularly those stemming from deeper wounds or more significant emotional upheavals, might take a couple of days or even longer to fully move through us. And here's the crucial part, either way is okay. There is no set timeline for emotional healing, and trying to force ourselves to get over it before we're ready is often a recipe for more suffering. We live in a culture that often prizes speed and efficiency above all else, a culture that can subtly, or not so subtly, pressure us to bounce back immediately from adversity. We see it in messages about resilience that sometimes miss the mark, implying that strength means never faltering or feeling pain for long, but true resilience, the kind that's sustainable and authentic, includes the courage to acknowledge our hurt and the wisdom to give ourselves the time and space we genuinely need to heal. It's about honoring our own unique process. So, what does it mean to give yourself grace in this context? It means practicing self-compassion instead of self-criticism when you find you're still feeling the effects of an emotional event. It means understanding that you are human, and being human involves experiencing a full spectrum of emotions, including the difficult and depleting ones. An emotional hangover isn't a sign that you're weak, flawed, or failing. It's a sign that you're a feeling being who has encountered something significant. It's evidence of your capacity to connect, to care, and to be impacted by your experiences. Think about how you would treat a friend who was going through a similar experience. Would you tell them to just suck it up and get on with it? Or would you offer them kindness, understanding, and patience? We need to extend that same level of compassion to ourselves. Rushing the process, berating ourselves for not feeling better sooner, often just adds another layer of stress and shame, which can actually prolong the hangover. It's like trying to run on a sprained ankle. You're likely to do more damage and delay true recovery. True healing, whether physical or emotional, takes the time it takes. It can't be rushed or forced according to an arbitrary schedule. Navigating emotional hangovers is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier with practice and understanding. Remember, these experiences are a testament to your capacity to feel deeply, and that, in itself, is a strength. By learning to name what you're going through, allowing yourself to rest, moving gently, feeling your emotions without fighting them, grounding yourself in the present, and giving yourself the grace to heal at your own pace. You're not just recovering from the hangover, you're building a more resilient and compassionate relationship with yourself. If this helped you understand something you felt but couldn't name, hit the like button. It tells YouTube this video matters, and it helps more people find it. It's a small click, but it sends a ripple effect, letting others know they're not alone in these experiences and that there are ways to navigate them with more awareness and kindness. Your engagement truly helps us reach those who might need to hear this message today. Subscribe if you want more videos that actually explain the stuff we all go through but rarely talk about. And hey, drop a comment if you've been through an emotional hangover yourself. I read every one. Your stories, your insights, your shared experiences, they create a community of understanding right here, and that connection is incredibly powerful. Thank you for spending this time with me. Be kind to yourselves.